We are here with Kathie Cram and the Saskatoon Mother Centre and an author.
Yes.
Welcome. So
you.
tell us about the Saskatoon Mother Centre. What is that organization?
Well, it's been around for, I think, about 8 years now in Saskatoon, and it's located at Saskatoon Station 20 West. And it's a group of women that have organized around some principles from the International Mothers Centre organization. And so really it's a safe space for women and children to go. Mm-hmm. And I was just at their annual meeting a couple of nights ago, and I was really struck by the progress that they've made in those 8 years and the services they continue to offer. Mm-hmm. They're very strength-based, so that's different than other organizations mm-hmm. that tend to focus on problems and sort of repairing people, as it were, but this really focuses on women's strengths, so they feel quite safe. There was mm-hmm. a woman at the AGM that was talking about having anxiety and depression and how wonderful it was to be able to come to the Mother Centre. And it's also a very diverse group of women, mm-hmm. so lots of Aboriginal women, lots of Métis women, women from different cultures, people from European mm-hmm. sort of settler backgrounds. So I was really struck with that again at the AGM, mm-hmm. just visually mm-hmm. seeing that diversity, mm-hmm. you know, in the community. Mm-hmm. So they have a drop-in center that they operate. It's on Tuesdays and Wednesday mornings from 9 till 12, and then Thursday and Friday afternoons from 1 to 4. Mm-hmm. And they have this wonderful sewing circle that okay. they operate. It's kind of a drop-in thing. Now it's closed for the summer months, but it'll start up again in September. And they just got some funding from Affinity Credit Union to continue to operate that. Okay. So they have a drop-in, and then they also have a small sort of social enterprise project mm-hmm. where women are paid a small stipend to come and they work, and then they get mm-hmm. some of the benefits, some mm-hmm. of the profits from the proceeds of the sale.
So what other services do they offer?
Well, they I have to think about that for a minute because okay. it's been a while since mm-hmm. I've been involved. I was involved earlier on. In fact, a story that I wrote has a section in it that refers to the Mother Centre. And okay. Quite a few years ago, they entered the dragon boat races. Okay. So that was a sort of I don't know if it was a service, but it was an initiative that was started from one of the women, Lori Snakeskin and Delphine Snakeskin. Mm-hmm. They were very adamant about participating, and they won third place in the dragon boat race. So there's a scene from that in the story.
Well, that sounds wonderful. So let's talk about your book.
Yeah.
Your lovely little book, If the Sky Could Dream.
Yes.
And Happy Leopard Chapbooks made
yep.
it for you. So mm-hmm. tell us about that process and your book.
Well, I'm a newly retired emerging writer is what I call myself. Okay. And this idea of the book came to me because I think that since retiring, my imagination has sort of come alive, as it were. So it's a story about a papier-mâché dragon that one dark, stormy night is infused with a soul and a consciousness. Okay. But she's not sure who she is or where she belongs. And so the first part of the story is that struggle that she has between, do I stay here and stay safe, or do I go and seek out adventure and find who I am? And so eventually she decides to leave the safety of the home that she's in, and she escapes up through the chimney and out to the big blue radiant living sky. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the story is all based in Saskatoon. So the dragon goes to the river, and she runs into some geese. She thinks that the geese are relatives, but she learns that they're not. And then she ends up at the New Reme Gallery. And cool. in the gallery, she discovers something about herself, her own some of her own dark history and some of the dark history of humans. Mm-hmm. And so that part of the story was a lot of fun because I love the Reme. Mm-hmm. And I had to visit it several times so that I could look at it from the eyes of a dragon. Sure. And she sees herself in the mirrors, the windows of the gallery. For the first time, she sees herself as a full dragon. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of a story of emergence, mm-hmm. a story of identity. And so we had the launch just a little while ago in May at the Station 20 West. And one of the women that I mentioned in the story was there with her kids. And the thing that I was surprised by is that despite the fact that the story is written for adults, the kids that were there, and there were several because the Mother Center was sponsoring the event, they were captivated by the story. And then I thought, I think that's probably a next step in the story development, is to see if I can adapt it into a children's story.
Oh, well, wonderful.
So,
and it's a beautiful story and something that you can share. And what the neat thing about it is that all the proceeds from the sales, right? You
yes,
talk about that?
all the proceeds from the sale go to the Saskatoon Mother Center. So that's Happy Leopard Press has that as a sort of a standard approach. And they ask their authors to choose a charity of choice. And so I chose Saskatoon Mother Center because I'd been involved with them before they even got to the Station 20 West, and before they opened their doors, and had a real strong commitment and belief in the work that they do. So, yeah, it's a great organization, and Happy Leopard Chapbooks is a wonderful small group of artists and writers who try and give back to the community in this way. So
well, and that's why I love Happy Leopard Chapbooks, and you rock, because they do charity work. They're doing work for the community and making this world a better place.
Yes,
and that's why
they are.
I wanted to have you on my show and talk about your book and that. So before I have you read a little bit, you have a couple new projects coming out. So maybe you want to talk about that.
I was saying earlier to you that the thing that surprises me about this is I only started with this one story as a imagination, and I thought that, and I started just writing it because the story attracted me. But now that I've opened my mind to this imagination and a different way of seeing the world, I have two other stories that I'm working on, and I'm really fortunate to be working with a mentor out of the Athabasca University, Angie Abdu. And one of the stories is based on my experiences in Bolivia, but it's a fiction. But I'm drawing on the experiences to sort of create the story, and that requires some research because there is a character in the story who is real. So it's probably going to be kind of within the genre of historical fiction. And then the other story, it just hatched because I was driving down Broadway one day, and there was a sign at Shoppers Drug Mart saying redemption event. And then I drove further down, and one of the churches had this sign up saying, something about be a humble peacock today and a feather duster tomorrow.
Oh, that's
and these two signs started me thinking. And so now I have this story that I'm working on about a fallen angel, a young fallen angel who accidentally tumbles topsy-turvy to earth. And she thinks she's been kicked out of paradise, and so she's trying to redeem herself and find ways to get back. And so that's the story that's unfolding. So both of these stories are still unfolding, and the fallen angel story, like my dragon story, is fun to work on because it's strictly from my imagination. The Bolivian story is harder because it deals with difficult issues that faced Bolivia and their activists during the 70s and 80s. So,
well, we're looking forward to seeing both of the stories. And thank you for being on the show.
Yes.
And it's great having you here.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That was Kathie Cram with the Saskatoon Mother Center and an author.